All right, I've gotten a lot of requests to talk about my feelings towards Resident Evil Requiem. A lot of people came on stream and was like, "Hey, bro, how's the game?" People hit me up on Twitter. And I thought I would produce a quick video talking about my thoughts. So, for those of you who don't know, I have not been happy with the last several Resident Evil games. Hated 5, hated 6, hated 7. Did not like 2 Remake as much as most people. Refused to play 3 Remake and 4 Remake. All of that just seemed like complete slop to me. I have had issues with these games for years. I was seriously going into this with no enthusiasm whatsoever. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'll get it, only because of the Nintendo version, but I am going to buy Resident Evil Requiem just so I can review it day one and talk about this game. This is going by what I've played so far, which is, to be fair, probably only a couple of hours. Going by what I've played so far, Resident Evil Requiem is the best Resident Evil ever made. Now, that's just my opinion, because I do think that a lot of people would kind of dispute that, because I definitely don't think Requiem has the stellar combat that 4 has, and it doesn't have the cheesiness, the memorable lines or quotes, there's things you can say about Requiem, I'm sure plenty of people prefer the original remake or countless other games in the series. I'm sure it's a preference thing, but when it comes to me personally, someone who had a ton of problems with Resident Evil, its inability to settle on a tone, the weird divide between classic RE and modern RE, and just all the problems the series has had over the years. Requiem, in my opinion, has fixed all of that. In my opinion, Requiem does a really good job, kind of marrying the concept of being an action game and being a horror game and just kind of seamlessly blending it together, right? This game does an excellent job of sucking you into the world, having all this exploration, all these things going on, all this cool world building, great cinematics, wonderful characters, the best we've seen ever, I would argue. You get this really good looking game. It feels like a better version of 2 Remake, which again, I didn't hate. I did like 2 Remake to a certain extent, but I did feel like it wasn't on par with the original release of 2, and that they needed to do more with it. Requiem does feel as if it's an improvement over 2 Remake. It does feel like it has a lot of the same ideas. It feels like it builds off the same concept. And yet, there are just so many, small improvements when it comes to, the AI, when it comes to the layout, when it comes to just, the general structure. Even, little things, having the protagonist, Leon is way better in combat, but Grace has the more, traditional survival horror aspect. They do a really good job, for the most part, making it feel like this really good, evolution of the formula. It feels very, very satisfying to play. It's very fun to get through. It's just very, very, very entertaining. And you can argue that maybe it's not quite where it needs to be yet, because I do feel they do need to I'm playing in third person, right? But when you're Grace, the game wants you to play in the first person. So there are all these awkward sequences where you're playing in third person, and then it suddenly shifts to first because there's some scripted sequence that you have to play as in the first person, and it's come on, they need to figure out a way around it. It's just weird. There are so many times where I play this game and I'm suddenly in the first person view, and I'm just really they tell you to do first person, but I want to do third, and gameplay wise it's third, but there's an issue with the transitions between scenes. And I would argue that some of the plot aspects are contrived. I do think they did need to kind of set up the plot better and introduce the characters better. But as a whole, I'm very, very shocked by how high quality it is. I'm actually reading notes. I'm actually finding them interesting. I'm actually noticing things about the plot and the setting and the characters. It actually feels like a classic RE game where it actually feels like the world is interesting, that there's something going on here, that there's The monsters are actually, honestly, going by what I've played, like the best I've ever seen in any Resident Evil game. I've never found Resident Evil scary. I will say that Requiem is probably the scariest it's ever been, even though that's not saying much. Like again, the monster designs are great. There's great concepts, great level design. You know, lots of variety in the gameplay with like the puzzle solving and like navigating certain things. I feel like maybe they need to fix the enemy AI a little bit, but it's definitely way better than it was in like 7. Like in 7 it felt like, you know, enemies would just relentlessly just walk to where you were. But here you see them like kind of like dancing around and doing a wide variety of different things. They feel like actual mutants that like behave to the virus in radically different ways. Like, you know, I've seen a lot of people pre-release try and push this idea that like there aren't that many enemy types in this game. I would disagree with that because like every enemy encounter feels radically different depending on like where you are and what you have and like what you're doing. Like, you know, I've like walked past entire swarms of enemies. I've been like stuck in hallways, you know, guys have jumped me from behind, you know, like there's all these things that can happen in this game. And like you can observe them from a distance and see that they actually have like radically different behavior patterns. You know, they put a lot of effort into like making each enemy, you know, human enemy like look different, behave somewhat differently. Like you can like, you know, there's this one that like sings a lot. Like she kind of prances around and sings, and then like if she sees you, she shrieks and you like flinch, and like it causes other like monsters to come towards you. It's like you run into things like this, and like you start noticing that like, wow, this game doesn't have a ton of tutorials. It doesn't hold your hand through it. It doesn't like tell you exactly where to go and what to do. It's like you're essentially just walking around this mansion, interacting with stuff, and like getting into these like random scuffles. And one of the things about this that's very interesting is that like you do see zombies move room from room. Like you do see them like you know, doing different things every time you come by. And like because of your limited resources, you're not gonna be, I call them zombies, but they're not really zombies. They're like some kind of mutant. But like, yeah, like you know, you see them doing different things, you know, like there's just so much going on in this game, and just I'm so into it. It's so much fun to actually play. I am very shocked at like how good this game is, and I suppose that like in theory it could fall off and become like, I don't know, really bad by the end. But like at this stage, I am very impressed with it. I am very surprised with how much I'm enjoying this one.